out west, out east, whatever, wherever you're at. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fabulous, and I know it's going to be a great day because I came into today almost taking the biggest fall of my life, and I caught myself. So if there are cameras in the hallway, in the dressing rooms, if anybody has that footage, please send it to me immediately because it was absolutely hilarious. But I caught myself, so it was good. So it's going to be a good day.
Please send it not only to Alex, send it to the producers of The Herd. We've got 2 hours to get that footage, cut that footage,
if there's
add
cameras.
some sound to that footage. Absolutely. You know what? And I think Fox is a pretty secure enterprise. I would imagine there are cameras. We're going to get into, over the course of the next 20 minutes or so, who the real MVP of the NBA is now that we turn our focus or start turning it to the NBA, why the Nets are in big trouble, and the ongoing saga, and it now is officially a saga, with Russell Wilson. But first, I have to address something that I wish I could have addressed on Monday, but I couldn't because it's Colin's business to decide when and if he's going to share this with the audience, and he shared it with the audience last night. Colin is not here this week because he had a very legitimate health scare this weekend. You can go to his Instagram to see it, him talk about it. He was rushed to the hospital Saturday night. They found a blood clot in his lung. Because he's Colin, he's somehow already home from the hospital, and that's why he was not here on a day and days he desperately wants to be here. And so I just want to say one quick thing to the audience about Colin Cowherd. 5 years ago, I got hired by Fox. I moved from Houston to Los Angeles. My wife and kids stayed in Houston. My job was to work with Colin. Colin did not know me previously, but he knew I was out in a new city, in a new company, knowing no one. From that moment forward, Colin Cowherd, the man who was always my professional idol, the person I looked up to in this business, took me personally under his wing, put me on his show more often than I had any business being on his show, advocated for me to be able to fill in on his show when he was not there, and he, as much as anyone in the world, is responsible, for good or for bad, for me being in the position I'm in. And then when I left LA and went to New York, that was 4 years ago. Every single Friday since then, he has called to check in on me, to see how I'm doing, to see how the show is, to see if I need anything. And it is, they say in the business, you know, don't meet your heroes, except and unless they are just awesome. And that's what Colin has been to me all along. And the fact that I can pay it forward just a tiny bit by helping him out and sitting in while he is recovering from something that this weekend had me terrified. I was probably more scared than he was. And it is an honor and a pleasure. So on behalf of everyone at FS1 and Fox, Colin, rest, get healthy. We got you covered. And to Colin, for if he's watching from home, I love you, man. And take your time. We'll be okay. The audience misses you. I miss being infuriated by your Tom Brady takes, which would have been over the top obnoxious this week, I'm sure. But your health is most important. We need you healthy. Come back whenever you feel good enough to do so. Okay. Now that I've taken care of that part without tearing up, let's talk about something that might make Seattle Seahawks fans tear up, which is the all of a sudden very real tension between the most buttoned up, the most professional, the most team first, end every interview ever with Go Hawks guy we've ever seen in Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has made a conscious choice this offseason to depart from how he has always done business and to speak publicly and openly about some frustration within the organization, about not having a big enough seat at the table of the decision makers, and the closest thing to criticism of teammates that we've ever heard from Russell Wilson when he talks about getting hit too much. And here's the thing, and I understand Walter Jones, one of the greatest players in NFL history and arguably the greatest Seahawk in their history prior to Russell Wilson, coming out on Seattle radio and saying, listen, you can't be throwing your teammates under the bus. I don't love that. I understand where he's coming from, But there has to be a degree of dispensation allowed for a guy, A, who's never done it, and B, who is speaking nothing but truths. Joy yesterday gave me a stat that, shame on me for not having it, but I couldn't believe it when she said it. 9 years in, 394 sacks. Think about that. 9 years, 394 sacks. That is just barely under 44 sacks per season for an Iron Man who never misses games, Russell Wilson. And as we saw in the most recent football game we all watched, it does not matter how brilliant and gifted and talented and transcendent you are. If you are constantly under duress, if you are constantly under pressure, if you are constantly concerned about someone coming straight up the middle and hitting you in the mouth, you are going to struggle. It makes it a minor miracle that Russ has been as successful as he has been. And for Seattle, there's a bit of a circular logic of, well, Russ doesn't like that we're so run heavy historically, but we're so run heavy historically because we don't have the ability to keep him upright. So in order to protect him, we have to run the ball, which frustrates him. It's a little snake eating its tail. The other answer there is upgrade the offensive line. The other answer there is have a little more sense of urgency throughout your offseason, throughout your regular season, via trades, transactions, and throughout the actual game via not just relying on Russell Wilson to bail you out with fourth quarter touchdowns, of which he leads the NFL since he came into the league, in large part because that's the time they really unleash him. And understand what you have. You have, depending on how you'd rank them, one of the three most valuable people in the NFL, given age, skill, position. It's Mahomes, Russ, and Deshaun, depending on how you want to slot them. What the Chiefs have done with Mahomes, the Super Bowl notwithstanding, is give him everything any quarterback could ever want. What the Texans have done with Deshaun is the exact opposite. They're playing some perverse game of how to lose a quarterback in 45 days, and it would look like they're winning that game. Seattle has been, this porridge is too hot, this porridge is too cold, this one's just right. They've been somewhere in the middle of that. They obviously have not done the Texans approach and just burnt the building down from the inside. But they also have not done what the other contending teams with great quarterbacks have done, which is go, 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 now, now, now. And Russell Wilson wants them to. And he wants to have a say on it. And you know what? Everyone in the organization, I don't care what your job was 96 hours ago. Every single person, their job now is, how can we make Russell Wilson feel better about being a Seahawk? Social media team, figure out what clips he likes, push those out. Marketing team, figure out what ad campaign he likes, pivot to that. In-house music, call up Sierra, figure out what her catalog costs, pay double, make that the rotation. John Schneider, this one's easy. Who's the best offensive lineman available? Go pay him. He's going to know we need him. We're going to have to pay 140 cents on the dollar. Okay, no problem. Because without Russell Wilson, you don't matter. In the 30 years prior to Russell Wilson coming there, you had two memorable moments as a franchise. One was one of the most unwatchable Super Bowls in memory, and the other was Matt Hasselbeck saying, give us the ball, we're going to take the ball and we're going to score, and then throwing a pick six that went the other way. Since Russell Wilson's got there, you've been to 2 Super Bowls, should have won them both. You're always competing, but you're not quite good enough anymore to be a Super Bowl favorite. Russell Wilson wants to change that. He doesn't want to watch Super Bowl 56 sitting between Roger Goodell and Sierra. He wants to be playing on the field, having people watching him. And if you're worried about setting a precedent, or you're worried about what this means for other guys, there is no precedent. He is the precedent. He is the franchise. You make different rules for him. So whatever it takes to make the most valuable employee in the history of your company feel loved, you do it. And he's giving you the blueprint. He's not asking out like Deshaun. You don't want to even let it come close to getting that far. So, word to the wise, Seattle. Russell Wilson's in charge.